Okay, it's time for some updates on the Challenger. It's been several months since I got a video update. As you can see, in order to facilitate repairs, I had to remove the interior. So most of it's out. I had to use some of the car as a shelf, but more has to come out. As I'm going to straighten the firewall, I still have to remove the rest of this stuff. So it'll be all the way out, maybe except the headliner by the time we're done. Also, when we took it apart, this car was really kind of a mess underneath. There was a lot of food spills, mostly specifically a red soda drink that left stains on the carpet. I don't know if we can see them here, but yeah, there's a little bit of it left over. I cleaned some of that stuff off, but there was a lot of crumbs and junk, and so took a while to clean up all those messes. The next thing that happened then is I bought this frame machine. I spent $500 for the machine, which seemed like a really good deal, except I ended up spending another $800 and something in order to get the right chains, get the air hydraulic unit, because the one that came with it didn't have enough oomph, didn't have this beam. That was expensive, and also the heavy duty chains are pretty expensive too. As you can see here, I mean, the damage here was pretty extensive. This piece was moved in 1.5 inches, and so it's been moved back to just about where it belongs. So you can see the rest of it has to come along yet. In order to get that done, there was a lot of different pieces that I had to remove. I took this piece. This piece was the biggest problem, because this is facing inward. I needed to pound on it this way in order to get this stuff all back into shape, and there was just no practical way to reach it while it was in the car. So I ended up drilling out a whole bunch of spot welds. I lost count, but it's got to be over 100 to get all the stuff freed up and taken care of. So the other side note is I did find the location of the crash. I had the VIN, and I have the date of the incident from the Carfax, and I have the name of the prior owner, and I was able to look that up in an Ohio database and see where it was. It was 2 miles at the 2.6 mile marker on I-75 down in Cincinnati. Let's see, next thing. Okay, so we also, before I got back to some of the heavy lifting here, I started taking care of some other things like the center console. I don't know if it was from the crash. I certainly felt to me like maybe the police were trying to get the console out or loose to look for stuff, but this was all broken up. You can see it's been plastic welded back together, both sides. There were additional cracks right up here. The side covers, the little tabs, were broken off of at least that one. So that took some work. There were other interior trim panels that were damaged too. This was really odd. This one here, you can see I've plastic welded it back together, but how? There's going to be a crack here. It's just going to be here. There's nothing I can do about that. But how in the world in the crash did that thing get torn free? I'll never know. So let's see. I also got busy straightening sheet metal, and here's the fenders. This is the right front, and as you can see, this was smashed so flat so that this part was actually hitting the median, and I've subsequently reconstructed that entire body line. I have a pair of fenders that I bought that were a little dinged up on this end, but this part was all perfect, so I could use them as templates. And I've got this one in pretty good shape. I test fitted to the car. It looks good. This one was really bad. It had been folded over on itself here and here, and you can see, I mean, you can see through it. So there's going to be some work to get that all back into place, and I'll probably put a excuse me, a metal piece of metal behind there with panel bonding adhesive to give that thing strength. But this one had the same problem. It was also bent flat, and so I've got this one probably, I don't know, 60% of the way. You can see this here still needs to arc out. There's probably still more there's more structural work to do up around these edges. I just moved on to other things. I'll save that for a little in-between project when I'm waiting on parts or whatever. So let's see, what was the last thing? I also talked to, two more things here on the metal. I wanted to save the hood, and so in order to do that, I ended up having to separate the sheet metal layer of the top layer from the structure layer. This was bent way up on both sides, and you can see now that I've got it in the ballpark. It's not perfect yet, but I think it's far enough along that I want to test fit this structure on the car to see how the edges of the hood line up with the edges of the fenders. And at that point, I'll put the, I'll make the necessary adjustments, and then it's going to end up needing to get glued back together. There was quite a bit of adhesive on the seams, and also at various places in the middle where the structure touches the sheet metal, just to keep it from rattling. I was able to use some heat and remove that. I also did the same for the door. Door is kind of hiding in the corner here, and I'm not going to fish it out for this, but you can see that the metal has been separated from the exterior metal has been separated from the skin. There was quite a bit of straightening. This thing was bent right here. It was basically bent, it had a bend in it almost all the way up the door, so there was quite a bit of finessing to get that all, looking like it wasn't in a crash. So, or at least the body lines will all line up, so when everything closes and opens and closes, it'll work properly. Up next, I think this piece is now at the exact correct distance to its matching support on that side, up to about here. If you look down this guy, it bends in a little bit, and so I got to pull this out and then probably do a little bit of work on the inside here, as this is a little bit wavy, to get this all straightened around. Then clean up all these pieces, get them ready to get welded back together. And then the next major hurdle is all of this. You can kind of see here, this baby is, that bend there is going to be fun to get rid of. You've got quite a distance here to cover to get this back. I'm quite sure this is pushed in. I still have the parts car, so I can make comparisons and figure out where all this stuff is supposed to be. But ultimately, this entire piece is going to come off of this car, and then I'm going to use the parts from the parts car to replace that. And then the jury is still out about whether or not I'll be able to straighten the floor pan adequately. I have straightened out this piece. It was actually bowed down from the impact underneath, and I was able to push that back up. And so this all lines up real nice. It's very malleable material with a little bit of help from the jack and a hammer on the top. You'll be able to you can get this looking pretty decent. This one, I think you can still see there's some gaps there that I have to get it to come the last 1/4 inch there, to which I think when I get rid of these waves, I'll get that back. So that works fine until about here, but when you get with this forward piece, there's multiple layers of metal here, which are a lot harder to work on when they're together. So I still haven't figured out how I'm going to straighten that out yet, but you can see there's multiple layers here as well. And so it's a matter of, do I try to straighten those pieces in place? Do I separate them like I have the other ones, or do I take the parts off the other car? So all of those things are on the docket here in the not too distant future. Hopefully within the next month or so, I'll have all this infrastructure fixed. This frame is still hopelessly bent, but in the white bag over there is a replacement for it. I had no intentions of trying to straighten that guy for when I can get a new one for $200. So that's your update for now, and we'll talk to you on the next one.